what I'd like to go through today is looking at some of our keys to success, looking at some of our communication strategies, both internally and externally, how we went about gaining approval, and then finally lessons learned from the experience, as well as what we see looking forward into BCRs. So one of our keys to success, and this is a theme that you'll see throughout the presentation, is really developing that open communication channel, both with the relevant data protection authorities as well as your outside counsel or consultant. In our case, we chose Allen & Overy in Luxembourg based upon their experience with the CMPD and existing business relationships with them. Really throughout the process, these two groups or individuals are going to be your best friends for the next year to 5 years, depending upon how complicated your business is. What we tried to do is really leverage upon any existing contacts we had, in dealing with not only the Luxembourg CMPD, but also any of the other data protection commissioners that we had already established communications with. One thing that we definitely like to do is keep things human. It's a fundamental value at eBay, and found that it's something that was very helpful in the process. Taking the time to go out and travel, meeting someone face to face. It's always much more difficult to tell someone no or tell them they can't do something in person rather than in an email or a phone call. When we start to talk about flexibility, we look towards the Article 29 Working Party papers, where they've provided a number of guidelines, resources, and really a framework or skeleton of how binding corporate rules should look like. What we found, though, is that BCRs is very much something unique to each company. When you develop your rules, you have to keep in mind not only do I need to satisfy the requirements, but ultimately at the end of the day, how do we really go about implementing these rules? So drafting them in a way that satisfy the requirements, but also jives with your current business practices is something that's very important. Some of the issues that we came across that were a bit of a challenge in the process is dealing with third-party liability clauses. Having to explain eBay's corporate organization. There's a number of misconceptions about who the data controllers are for eBay, where the data is processed, and who it's ultimately transferred to. And then finally, what a number of you may start to struggle with as well as you draft your own rules is how do you go about developing rules in such a way that they're binding across the organization. As many of you know, a number of jurisdictions do not view unilateral declarations as sufficiently binding. So how did we actually go about incorporating that into some of our documents? If you see the picture on the right is a snapshot of our Code of Business Conduct. That's really how we began to integrate our rules into the practices in which our employees abide by.